Sheriff Arpaio defiant over a judge's ruling.
The judge should not be ordering the sheriff.
Refusing to cooperate with a federal inquiry.
So I am not going to talk to the Department of Justice.
And lashing back against allegations of racial profiling.
So this is all garbage that they continuously put out.
Tonight, we take a closer look at the issues surrounding Sheriff Arpaio. Is he above the law? Good evening. Tonight we're doing something a little bit different. We're dedicating the newscast to one topic. Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Does he believe he is above the law?
Yesterday's events prompted us to address this topic. An MCSO detention officer was found in contempt of court for swiping documents from a defense attorney. A judge ruled the detention officer must give a public apology or go to jail.
But Sheriff Arpaio dismissed the judge's order, saying only he decides whether his deputies will publicly apologize. Sheriff Arpaio says he backs his detention officer 100%.
Now, we have a panel of guests here to discuss the sheriff's recent actions and the long history of Sheriff Arpaio's controversial style of doing business. We invited Sheriff Arpaio to be here as well. Instead, his office agreed to provide us 3 representatives to discuss tonight's topics.
First, we take a look at why many critics say the sheriff puts himself above the law.
While many politicians might avoid criticizing a sitting judge, Sheriff Joe Arpaio is one who does not hold back.
The judge does not run this office.
It seems no person, no authority is off limits, and it goes beyond speech. This summer, Arpaio's office stopped cooperating with the Department of Justice inquiry, saying the feds were acting out of line.
So I am not going to talk to the Department of Justice until they clean up their own act.
Beyond words, there are policies that spark debate. On immigration, the 2008 Pulitzer Prize-winning report by the East Valley Tribune detailed alleged evidence of profiling during Arpaio's sweeps. The debate continued on Capitol Hill. One U.S. citizen testified he was unfairly detained.
The police are supposed to keep us safe, but they are arresting us instead of the real criminals.
Arpaio and some deputies say the allegations are unfounded.
Accusing us of racial profile amounts to calling us racists. We are not racists.
So this is all garbage that they continuously put out to try to embarrass me and my organization.
There are also allegations of selective enforcement, using the badge to go after citizens for personal or political reasons.
Sheriff Arpaio uses the county attorney almost like his private law firm, right, to go after certain target individuals.
Attorney and activist Randy Perez says he was a target, arrested for disorderly conduct after speaking out against the sheriff. It took 11 months before he was acquitted of all charges.
You should have constitutional rights. You should be able to speak your mind and not feel risked and threatened and bullied by the top law enforcement officials in this county. They're here to enforce the law, not to violate the law.
In 2006, deputies raided the home of then-County Superintendent Sandra Dowling. It was a widely publicized event, the sheriff front and center.
Our thrust is wide. It's not isolated to just one subject matter. We're looking at all avenues.
All felony charges against Dowling were eventually dismissed, but not after years of public embarrassment and hundreds of thousands of dollars of legal fees.
What the sheriff did when he came into this house the night that he raided my house is absolutely unconscionable.
In another public investigation, Arpaio arrested Chandler police officer Tom Lovejoy. He was exonerated of wrongdoing. Lovejoy's accused the sheriff of selective enforcement. His own research turned up 3 cases of dog deaths in Arpaio's own office that, according to the sheriff's legal liaison, were never internally investigated.
The irony in the whole thing is that, he will prosecute me, but he won't even investigate his own guys.
Also, this summer, Arpaio seized control of a county computer database without waiting for the issue to play out in court. Deputies entered the administration building and threatened employees with arrests.
I mean, this has all the overtones of some kind of a coup d'etat, like in a third world country.
Arpaio says he seized the computers because he had received confidential information that he could not discuss. And joining me now, Tom Liddy with the County Attorney's Office, Jack MacIntyre, an attorney as well with the Sheriff's Office, Dan Barr with the First Amendment Coalition, who has successfully prosecuted cases against the Sheriff's Office, and Dennis Welch with the Arizona Guardian publication. First, Jack, I want to ask you, after seeing this, seeing some of the criticism, is there evidence that the sheriff has acted as though he believes he's above the law?
I don't think that's accurate. In fact, let's take these 3 incidences one at a time. The Dowling case was referred to the Arizona Attorney General's office. The Attorney General's office was the prosecuting agency. They brought back a grand jury indictment, I believe, with 28 counts against Sandra Dowling. The case was not prosecuted by the sheriff's office, and it was, again, presented by the Attorney General's office.
But didn't the court
Anyone who says that the Attorney General is a political friend of the sheriff obviously has not watched either the media or read in the newspapers lately. In addition, the Lovejoy case, again, was not prosecuted. The sheriff's office is not a prosecutorial agency. They accumulate the facts, they bring the facts to the appropriate prosecutorial agency, and then that agency makes that determination. We don't. We never do.
Dennis Welch, you've been covering a wide range of topics. Do you see evidence the sheriff acts as though he's above the law?
Well, it's not for me to actually judge whether he is above the law, but I mean, I think you look at the recent events right here. I mean, the judge orders his people to apologize, and he's saying, no, they're not going to do this. I'm stepping out in front of that. I mean, he's clearly, he's ignoring the judge's order there, so you can kind of make the judgment from that and make it for yourself.
Yeah, and when you think about it, a judge makes an order. I mean, the president has to follow what the courts say. This was a clear order. Didn't the sheriff seem to just sort of mock what the judge was saying, and is that what people want to see from a public servant?
No, the judge was mocking due process of law. The sheriff understands that there's such a thing called separation of powers. You can't have the legislature or the governor or someone from the judicial branch or the sheriff ordering somebody else how to run their department. And there's also the individual free speech rights of Officer Stoddard. A judge cannot order an individual to go out and host a press conference for something he did in the course of his own duties and say, I'm glad I did it, I'm not glad I did it, you know, I want... a judge can't put words in the mouth of an individual. An individual has his own free speech rights. It's unheard of. If anyone's making a mockery of the justice system, it's a Superior Court judge that would attempt to control someone's thought and someone's speech. That's why we're going to the Court of Appeals on that.
Dan Barr, in terms of public information law, what is your view?
Well, the sheriff is a extraordinary communicator. When the sheriff's office wants information out, they do it better than anyone. I mean, I think everyone would agree, no matter what one thinks of Sheriff Arpaio, he's an extraordinary communicator. When they do not want information out, they are also extraordinarily good at preventing it from coming out. I've been practicing public records law for about 25 years, and there's been no agency more hostile to the public records law than the sheriff's office when they want to withhold information.
There's hostile and then there's breaking the law.
Well, I'll give you one example, and it's a ridiculous example, but I think it shows what we're talking about. Back in 2005, the West Valley View was told by the sheriff's office that it would no longer receive press releases. I mean, a press release is only created to give to the press. And yet the sheriff's office, for whatever reason, decided it wasn't going to give them to the West Valley View. The West Valley View had to make a public records request for the press release. The sheriff's office still wouldn't provide it. And then we had 2 years of litigation. Eventually, the Court of Appeals orders that the press releases be released and orders that the sheriff's office pay $40,000, calling their actions to be petty.
Is that a singular event, though?
Well, no. I mean, I can go through other events, and I don't know I'll hog up time. But, you know, the New Times had a public records suit against the sheriff's office back in 2004.
And an appeals court sided with the New Times.
Right, and the sheriff's office, in that case, had not provided the documents at all to the New Times until the lawsuit was filed.
Jack, one last word on public records.
On the public records, Dan's going to probably fall off his chair right here, but quite honestly, I think the West Valley View case should never have been appealed. It shouldn't have gone up on appeal. I think that the decision at the trial court level on that case clearly indicated the judge who tried the case, who heard the case, Margaret Downey, said that the sheriff's office didn't violate the law, but that they should cooperate and send the records. And right now, I wish we'd never appealed West Valley View because that issue wouldn't be before us, but Dan's correct on that.
Okay, all right. More discussions coming up in just a few moments.
All right, thanks, gentlemen. Sheriff Joe Arpaio remains very popular with voters. He has been reelected 4 times.
And in the latest Cronkite 8 poll, 61% of people polled either approve or strongly approve of the job that he's doing in Maricopa County. A combined 35% either disapprove or strongly disapprove.
And when it comes to talking about the sheriff, voters in the Valley have very strong feelings, pro and con.